On this week's episode of the K12 Tech Talk podcast, we discuss the latest concerns around AI in special education, a growing concern around the security of teachers' paid teachers, and interview Joey Wender from the Schools, Health, and Libraries Broadband Coalition about the past, present, and future of E-rate. Thanks for listening.
Live from the NTP studios, this is the K12 Tech Talk podcast. I'm Josh, tech director from a school district here in Missouri. Down the street is Chris. Hello, Chris, who can't operate the mute button.
Hello.
And Mark, who's probably, 1,200 miles away in Boston. Hello, Mark.
How are you?
Good. What have you guys been up to this week? Weather's changing, getting cooler. Another outage, another week. Anything fun going on?
Been a lot of outages lately. What's going on in the world?
I guess this one really just affected me out of the three of us. We use Linewize. They had an outage this week.
To be fair, most outages impact you way more than all of us.
No, I use Linewize and went down, I guess yesterday morning. Started out with not blocking anything. Students were living their best lives, gaming sites, social media, you name it. And then...
And you can't name it because it wasn't being logged well.
No. But multiple teachers came up to me today. They're like, man, we didn't even teach. Like I was joining the kids on games. I'm like, oh my God, don't tell me that. And then it flipped and everything got blocked. Like Infinite Campus was blocked. Everything, university websites, Google was blocked. Yeah. Linewize was on the struggle bus big time yesterday and then did not get resolved. There was not, the all clear message did not come until like 7 a.m., 7:30 this morning. So yeah, I was starting to worry about, oh man, are we going to start our day with the same disaster that we ended our day with yesterday? But it shaped up and ended up working well. My one complaint to Linewize, and I gave them this feedback today, they had their status board, their status page, and they were updating what was going on and what they were working on, and they had identified the issue. They went over 12 hours without an update. And this morning at 7 o'clock, they put out an update saying, we're still working on the issue. And then like 5 minutes later, oh yeah, issue resolved. That was my, I guess, biggest complaint with that, like that window of time with zero updates. I went into the office today and I'm like, we're in the exact same situation we were last night. No updates have been published. This is kind of ridiculous. But I guess it was stable today. I didn't hear any complaints.
My wife works at another school district, not yours, but a Linewize customer school district. So she sent me a text during the day. She's like, do you know what this is? Or do you use this? And I was like, duh, I don't, but I know what's happening. It's okay. And then she came home and she was like, I couldn't get to Nike.com and I couldn't get to Walmart.com. And I know those are personal sites and I shouldn't have been shopping. So I couldn't say anything. And then she found some legitimate website and then she was, bad mouthing the situation, but a pretty big deal. I was telling a retired K12 Tech, I feel like this school year has been a lot of outages, like more than the normal.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on this school year. And I really feel like it started around August. It's literally lined up with a school year. I don't know.
We joked last week of what's going to be this week's outages, not knowing that we were going to be predicting Google having another outage and Linewize being completely down.
Yeah, there was a correlation yesterday with Drive and Docs having an outage at the same time Linewize had an outage, which I don't think they were related, but it was awful weird to have both of those systems down at the same time. So what your wife was saying, Chris, is Santa Claus might be delayed with Christmas presents because she couldn't assist in
those new Nikes, maybe not on the way.
When she couldn't get to Nike.com or Walmart.com, did you send her luxury menwear websites and be like, try these out?
I did. But she's used to me doing that, so it wasn't a thing.
You sent her luxury menswear websites a lot.
Again.
We just bought you these sweatpants. Oh, man. You want to hit a sponsor before we have an outage ourselves?
Yeah, Lumu is new to hanging out with us. You can check them out at lumu.io/cybersecurity for schools. They would say every minute of downtime matters. They're more talking about cyber attacks, so they can help identify and block cyber attacks in real time, help your school stay safe, secure, connected, and focused on learning. So check out lumu.io.
Mark, you said you got a couple news stories for us tonight?
Yeah, we can dive into it. So some topics we've talked about before. AI, you heard of it. The Center for Democracy and Technology, they are raising concerns about the level of teachers and administrators using AI for a specific purpose. The number of IEPs and 504 documents that are being written or contributed to by artificial intelligence. Kind of lists out a few different concerns that they have, as well as the statistics of how many people are doing this, which, as you can imagine, it's extremely common for teachers to write components of IEPs and for special education administrators to pull together everything. Their first concern really is around data privacy, and our administrators and teachers using unvetted tools that don't have security and privacy protections to upload sensitive data, which is a general concern we've had for a long time. The other concern, though, is around, this is being used as a time-saving effort, and our teachers taking the first draft that comes out of an AI tool and using that as the basis of their maybe a narrative or something else. And at that point, taking the AI's suggestion versus using AI to workflow their own words. And that introduces this concern around AI's influence in how many IEPs have been written by AI, and are they going to start to have a lot of commonalities? So lots of concerns we've heard before. They are very, very specifically focused on IEPs and 504s and the level of influence within AI.
Yeah, the letter I in IEP, individual, those shouldn't be copy pasted, multiple copies, one size fits all. That needs to be individualized education plan for that kid. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that definitely not a one size fits all copy paste type scenario. And like to your point, data privacy is huge, especially in a non-education related tool, because there are education related tools out there that have assistance with setting IEP goals. But correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the concern is more with a consumer version of those products, ChatGPT or otherwise, that don't adhere to those same privacy standards.
Yeah. And the major concern too is around using this data to further train the model, and some tools that will happen if used with a personal consumer account, and other tools provide districts with protection. So lots of concerns. I'll be very curious to see if this goes deeper, or if we start to see more legislation and policy around the use of IEPs and 504s with AI.
Yep.
Ann Arbor, Michigan, parents are pushing back on the district's new cell phone policy, but not in a way that you'd expect. Can you think of a way that can you think of a reason why parents might push back on the district's cell phone policy?
Well, what is the policy?
Policy is no cell phones allowed in class.
I mean, probably the same complaint that we've all heard. They want to be able to reach their kid.
The opposite. They are saying that they want the district to go farther. And there has been a petition that has been circulated by hundreds of parents who say, no, cell phones need to be banned from bell to bell. Get them out of the hallways, get them out of cafeterias. We want our kids socializing. We want to see cyberbullying incidents going away. So they're asking the district to go even harder into the cell phone policy and ban them entirely.
Wow.
I'll be very interested to see where that goes and if we start to see that trend in other cities. So that's it for the news this week. Short week for news.
All right. I have a couple listener emails. Let me pull them up. So we have listener David. On a previous episode, and Josh, I think it was you that mentioned this, and I know you did some advancement on this, so I'm curious to pick your brain about you get a suspicious login notification. So I'm assuming a Google school here. What actions do you take with that when you see that log happen? Do you block the IP address at the firewall level? What do you do afterwards? So let's unpack that. What do you guys do?
Take a anti-anxiety medicine.
Every 5 minutes.
I mean, why do you think I have such a sunny disposition? So yeah, we've done a lot of work on that recently in my district, and where we have landed. I don't know that I've talked about it on here. I know I talked about it over on Pro. Kind of a layered approach. We have Education Plus, and these are paid features I'm going to mention. So I'm sorry if you don't buy up with Google Workspace Education Plus, but here we go. Context-aware rules, thanks to Mark's amazing how-to document that he wrote a couple of years ago, we have international logins blocked for our accounts. Yes, that isn't foolproof. Yes, there are issues. A bad guy could use a VPN, but it's better than nothing. Until recently, it stopped there. Like, we got alerts. We would suspend the account if we were paying attention and saw that email come in. 9 times out of 10, though, those email alerts come in at 2 in the morning, 4 in the morning. I'm not awake. My guys aren't awake. That account wasn't disabled until we got in, or password wasn't changed until we got in. A couple weeks ago, I found the setting where you can create a rule to take an action based on a frequency. So this rule takes action if a context-aware log entry denies access to an account for an international login more than twice in an hour. It suspends the account. So now we have some automation in that process. So when that threat actor logs in 3-4 times overseas, that account is flagged and suspended almost real time. And we get alerts on that. And then I've forwarded those to the building librarian. We've had it happen once, like successfully since I implemented this rule. Account was logged into, I think, from Germany 5 times. And at the third time, it was suspended and subsequent logins were prevented. So it works. I know it works.
I thought you would have a lot more than that.
Well, that was only a week ago. So it's suspended one account in a week's time. So I expect more to happen this weekend just because it's...
Because I thought 2 was going to be like, man, you're dropping accounts like flies.
Well, now keep in mind, it's only international accounts that are getting logged in or getting flagged for international login attempts, not forgot password access denied. It is access denied because of an international login. That's not happening that frequently because it's school time. Kids aren't traveling. Now, I see that going up over the summer 100%.
I usually would take further step to investigate that alert. I don't think I'm going to take action on just something is listed as suspicious because normal kid activity is suspicious. You logged into the 5th device that day. You've forgotten your password for the 8th time this week. So I would take a next step of looking into that alert and seeing if I can determine what caused that to be a suspicious login. And if I see concerns or issues, then yes, I'm going to reset that password and do a deeper dive.
Do we know what Google's definition of suspicious login is?
That's my point.
I feel like I've looked for that before and can't really find it.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be different every time.
I feel like those suspicious login alerts are delayed by hours when you go back and look at the log entry of the actual login. So I wasn't super relying on that suspicious login entry.
Yeah.
Hey, and I'm kind of like, I was just looking back on this email. There's a circle thing or it doesn't apply thing here. The ask was about firewall rules, but that Google thing happening has nothing to do with the local firewall thing you got going on. So, I mean, if you want to be thinking you're under attack, yeah, I guess you could block the IP address of your firewall, but that's not actually doing a single thing with your Google Admin Console stuff.
Agree.
Yeah, and if that email is coming, if that suspicious login is a Google IP, then you don't want to take action and block that Google IP on your firewall. So no, I don't.
Yeah, you could really chase some rabbits on that. Yes.
Block it all. Yeah. Just unplug the internet.
Well, if you got Linewize, they'll do it for you.
or they won't.
Yeah.
All right, another email. This is, did I say David on the other guy? This is listener David too, but a different David. Coming from Georgia about another school district. Looks like a school district in the Atlanta area filing a suit against social media companies. And we've heard this a couple of times now, several times now. They're arguing that the companies are intentionally targeting school-age children and making their services addictive, and the school is spending money now to minimize those effects. So that's where the lawsuit is coming into play. Any hot take on that really quick?
There's a lot of districts and a lot of towns and a lot of states suing the social media companies. So I think it's just a snowball effect. Maybe there will be a single class action lawsuit that everything will be swept into, but it's very similar to the Power School lawsuits right now, where everybody's just kind of jumping on and filing their own independent lawsuits. they're all going to get consolidated, or that's my guess, is they'll get consolidated in the near future. So we'll see what happens, but I don't know.
I don't know that the effort and money spent, time spent on district attorneys will be worth what you get out of it. I don't know.
Yeah, like all the schools are going to end up getting like $5.
Right. Like typical class action lawsuit. Yeah. The lawyers get a third and then everybody else in the suit splits what's the rest. So you're getting like a 100th of it.
All right. I have this. So I guess first off, check out Visor. Visor is a great tool for managing your district's devices and your help desk tickets. There's this school in Missouri, Stratford. They went to Visor. They've had great luck with it. They call it super efficient. It's been a complete 180 change compared to what they have had previously. A game changer, they said, for helping them recover lost Chromebooks. So you can check out Visor at visor.cloud/K12 Tech Talk. That's visor.cloud/K12 Tech Talk. So there was this post on K12 Tech Pro. Subject line is teachers pay teachers. How do you guys feel when I say a phrase like that?
It's the devil.
I know it shows up quite frequently on my credit card statement, and we'll leave it at that.
Oh no. So the content of this post was the ask of, are you blocking teachers pay teachers in your school district? And this particular person on K12 Tech Pro, they've had a large number of their staff using the site, as do we all, but they're getting downloads full of malware. And they have it blocked now, and they're trying to investigate to figure out what is going on. But this brought about some conversation and some comments. I mean, that site is a used site.
Oh, yeah.
So what do we think we're going to do here?
So how many comments is that up to now?
I was going to refresh it and look.
I was pretty surprised to see the number of comments of districts that are like, yeah, we block it. And we had to block it because over the last 12 months, 18 months, the majority of our EDR alerts were from files that were downloaded from Teachers Pay Teachers. That was really surprising to me. I had not heard that yet. And I'm surprised of the number of districts that are commenting saying, yeah, we block it. We block it. Yep. We block it.
Yeah, we're at 22 comments, and there's a lot. This one guy said, teachers pay teachers is the devil. Oh, that was you, Josh.
Yeah, I did say that.
You've
that
said that a
comment.
couple times today now.
Yes. I mean, who doesn't say that on the daily basis? I mean,
I think it would be crazy for me to block it.
Oh, for sure. Like, there would be pitchforks, and yeah, 100%.
Can I block it on my credit card?
I'm sure you probably could.
We did land. So we have that new thing this school year where every app and website has to be vetted and approved by tech department and curriculum department. So we have our list of, nearly 100 things that we say, this is what you're supposed to use, or this is what you can do a tech ticket on, or this is what you can get professional development with. And Teachers Pay Teachers did not make the list.
Wow.
So we don't say use Teachers Pay Teachers. Teachers can still,
steal from teachers,
use it, go a little rogue with it, and they're going against that whole thing, but they don't get any kind of uplifting thing from curriculum or technology anymore.
I think I know of at least one district that buys TPT gift cards for their staff.
That's insanity.
Yeah. And I want to say like $50 to $100 gift cards for Teachers Pay Teachers.
How much is a worksheet?
I don't know. Let me ask my producer. Hang on. How much is a Teachers Pay Teachers worksheet? She has a Grinch bingo card in her Teachers Pay Teachers cart for $1.50 right now.
I mean,
somebody's making those dollars.
Especially if you're putting malware in that.
Mark, how much? Yeah. How much has your credit card category of Teachers Pay Teachers racked up in the last year?
Listen, there are two categories that I agree not to look at. The first is school supplies, and the second is the hair salon. And that not looking at those two categories keeps me a very happy person. I know those categories exist. I know they exist. I know that there is money going towards those purposes, but I choose to look the other way, and I am a happier man as a result of that.
You're a smart man, Mark. I will say one of the most frightening calls that we got from our SOC was because of Teachers Pay Teachers last spring. Got an email alert. I wasn't at my desk, didn't see the email. They call my cell phone. Hey, we just saw lateral movement on a device that was hitting a popular data exfiltration site. This is the IP address. Panic mode, right?
Right.
Panic mode. So we figure out what the device was, track it down on wireless, figure out what access point it was connected to. All three of us in my department go running to this classroom. We go barging in the classroom, scare the hell out of the teacher. Like, you're all three here? What is going on? We're like, where's the device? Where is it? We grab the device. We take it back to our office. Turns out she had bought a Teachers Pay Teachers file and was downloading it from whatever hosting site. They just happened to be hosting that file on Bublup or something like that. It is apparently one of the top data exfil sites that when you're hit, that data gets sent to in the exfiltration process.
Well, is that what's just happening in the case of this K12 Tech Pro post?
No, I don't think so.
False flag?
No, I don't think so, because that was my SOC monitoring inbound, outbound traffic, not an alert from my EDR.
Okay.
To me, an EDR alert it has found a malicious file.
Yeah. Years and years ago, and schools took a stance on this. There was, in Missouri, there was the website that all like the athletic directors went to. And it was a very popular site just for Missouri content, but they had an ad at the top that was like an embedded, iframe thing or whatever. And then people were hacking that all the time, putting bad ads or bad stuff in there. And then we were spreading spyware, whatever stuff, all that. It was always the athletic directors.
Well, yeah.
So schools finally took the stance. We all started blocking it. But again, that was a bad moment. It was tech against the sports. You know what I mean? And it was this, this is me in high school all over again, getting bullied by the athletes. But that's what it was, right? And we had to take the hard stance to block that thing. And then that website had to do some redesign. And they made that thing go away, and then we could unblock it. We do need Teachers Pay Teachers to get their crap together,
or just go away.
Well, we don't know if this is a thing. It could be coincidental, but
and I'm sure they don't support it. But
yeah, we'll see. I'm going to be very curious to see if more districts start staying up, because that was a very active conversation today.
It was, and I still am very surprised at the number of districts that say they block it. One thing is for sure that will come out of this conversation is that Teachers Pay Teachers or IXL likely will not ever be a sponsor of this show.
Or my wife's hairdresser.
Just kidding, Teachers Pay Teachers.
And Tony.
We think you're great, Teachers Pay Teachers.
Sarah's hair always looks great.
So we're gearing up for 2026. Several events planned for the podcast and for the K12 Tech Pro crew. We got the Midwest Tech Talk Security in March, Midwest Technical Conference in July, and more coming. These events are made possible thanks to our sponsors. We try to not be NASCAR, but sometimes it just has to happen. It's for the good of the cause. So if you're listening to this, if you're the person that always tries to click that we're spam on Reddit, this is always going to happen because we do this as a side hustle for the good of the cause. So we want to thank Lightspeed, lightspeedsystems.com, Fortinet podcast at Fortinet.com, and Extreme Networks. You can email dmayer at extremenetworks.com. We hope to see you on the road in 2026. That's coming up quick. Back to you, Mark.
All right. Tonight's main interview is with Joey Wender. He is the executive director of SHLB, often called SHLB, which stands for the Schools, Health, and Libraries Broadband Coalition. So the agency that's trying to make sure that E-rate is safeguarded for the future. Joey is the executive director of that. Super fun interview. I had a great time talking with him. I'm sure you'll hear the excitement. This is a guy that was in the room during the Supreme Court hearing, and he is here to talk to us about all the amazing stuff that happened over the last 6 months.
All right, guys. So I got us a guest, and I've talked about this guy for a little bit, and I didn't really give you much information about him, but he is here. We just did a little bit of pre-show stuff, and he literally lives down the road, or used to, from Mark. So Mark's all excited. Josh, we've been kind of feeling a little bit left out, but this is Joseph Wender with Schools, Health, and Libraries Broadband Coalition. Do you say Shelby? What's like the quick on that?
It's like the woman's name, Shelby.
Okay, with Shelby.
Or the car, the engineer for Shelby Mustangs.
Okay, that makes me feel better. I always want to call it that, but I wasn't sure. All right, so, and do we call you Joey? Do we call you Mr. Wender? Do we call you Joseph?
Call me Joey. I've never outlived my boyish nickname.
Okay. All right, so Joey, would you tell us a little bit about yourself? I don't really remember at what point in time we were introduced to each other, but we jumped on a quick video call, and you said that you would come on. This is like 2-3 months in the making, I feel like. So who are you? Why are you here?
I don't know the answer to the second piece, but I can tell you who I am. So Joey Wender, I've been doing telecom and tech policy in D.C. for about 17 years. Most of that, a lot of that, I should say, was spent working for Senator Ed Markey of Massachusetts. I was his senior advisor for telecom and other issues for 10 years, and he created E-rate. So I spent a ton of time thinking, talking, working on E-rates. In 2021, I went to the Biden administration and I ran the $10 billion Capital Projects Fund, which was the initial down payment on bringing affordable, reliable, high-speed internet to all Americans. And then after the administration changed, I left, and now I'm the executive director of the SHLB Coalition, Schools, Health, and Libraries, Broadband Coalition, and it's all about making sure that every anchor, right, places where we learn, where we gather, where we seek care, has the high-speed internet we all need in order to fully participate in our 21st century society.
So you were one of the original founders, or I would say authors, of the E-rate modernization in 2012. Mm-hmm. So you've got quite an extensive background, but we also have a bone to pick with you because that POTS line thing was a pain in the butt. Like, we all had to get rid of our POTS lines overnight.
And can we have EDR?
What's up with that, Joey?
Yeah.
We need EDR and next-gen firewalls, Joey.
I'm not here to talk about the past. Look, the modernization order, I mean, there is a good history here of E-rate evolving as technology has changed, right? And so the needs back in 96 were not the needs in the mid-2010s, which are not quite the needs today. But ultimately, it was about ensuring that wealthy schools and schools in low-income neighborhoods had the same connection. Right, that was the whole purpose. Was that in the mid '90s, when high-speed internet came onto the scene, it was assumed, rightfully, that school districts in affluent areas would be able to pay the bills for this essentially new and utility bill, right? Mm-hmm. The internet bill. The concern was, if you lived in a low-income area, in an urban area, in a place where the school district could not afford it, the federal government is stepping in to help pay for that connection. I mean, you guys know it's a discount based upon a sliding scale, based upon how many kids are qualified for school lunch. It's a terrific proxy for the relative wealth or affluence or lack thereof of a community. And so regardless of exactly what technology it's funding, I think E-rate is an incredible story of success over 30 years, creating opportunity for all students.
I'll say I got into K12 Tech in 2014, so shortly after E-rate modernization took effect. And the stories that I heard from districts that filed for, I think even Chris, filed for Category 2 prior to modernization, mm-hmm. and were never allowed to buy anything with Category 2 because they didn't meet that level mm-hmm. of New York City public schools free and reduced front lunch rate or anything like that. And then it shifted with modernization and spread that playing field out based on student population. You know, you get X dollars per student, yada, yada, yada. That changed the game. Like, the number of districts that were able to overhaul physical networking, wireless networking, and bring that entire network to match the internet that they've been getting at a discounted rate, game changing in the field of K-12 education. Amazing.
I agree. And, you know, there was a time in the mid-90s and the 2000s, right, where internet in a school meant a computer lab.
Right.
There were connected via a cord. Well, I agree with you, Josh. That changed. I mean, I've got a 9 now. I see it. I've got a 9 and 6-year-old who go to public school here. I live in, suburban DC and just in Maryland, just outside of DC, and it's 1-to-1. Everybody's got a computer, and those computers are not attached to the wall, right? You need Wi-Fi in order to support that type of learning.
Yeah, I mean, I think 10, 15 years ago, there were complaints across the country from teachers and students saying the internet is not fast enough. I don't think I have heard a single complaint about the internet speed at schools. Mm-hmm. Blocking is a different topic. We'll save that one for another episode. But
teachers pay teachers doesn't load fast enough, Mark.
Yeah. But by and large, the internet access in schools is not a problem that is talked about today like it was 10, 15 years ago. And I know I joked with you about, the POTS lines thing was a pain, but if that hadn't been removed from E-rate in 2012, 2013, we would still be using old phone lines and not have the money dedicated to broadband. So I don't know I guess but I don't know if everybody out there understands how important and beneficial the E-rate program has been, which is why all of us were freaking out this spring at the possibility that the Supreme Court could snap their fingers and it's gone.
Should we talk about the Supreme Court?
1,000%.
Sure.
So everybody's favorite court, Supreme Court, heard a case this spring on challenging the constitutionality of the Universal Service Fund. And so for your listeners, I think they mostly care about E-rate, but there's actually 4 different programs that make up the Universal Service Fund. E-rate is one of them. It's about $3 billion a year. There's the Rural Health Care Program, which is a little less than $1 billion a year. There's Lifeline, which is also about $1 billion, which is the mobile phone service for individual consumers. And then there's the largest program, which is the high cost program, which subsidizes broadband and telephone to the most remote, high cost areas in the United States. The challenge brought by Consumers Research, which is a right-wing ideological group, said Congress was not prescriptive enough. Congress was not detailed enough in giving the FCC power to set this fund up. This what's now about an $8 billion a year fund. The government, SHLB, we were a named party, as well as the telcos, argued au contraire. Section 254 of the Telecom Act of 96 is actually quite prescriptive about what Congress wanted the FCC to do. And it said, here's the fund you're going to set up. Here's who's going to pay in. Here's how they're going to pay in. Here's who's going to get the money. Here's what it's going to fund. Here's who's going to administer it, right? Which is now USAC. Very prescriptive. And the court, thank goodness, agreed in a 6-3 decision and a strong decision written by Justice Elena Kagan. She said Congress was actually quite clear, and the FCC is doing as Congress told it to do.
So were you at the court during the hearings and to witness the trial?
I was there. We were a named party. I was in there. As a recovering lawyer, it was fascinating, but it was also illuminating to see.
Okay, time out for just a second. You said earlier that you spent 17 years with Senator Ed Markey?
No, 10 years.
10 years, okay. And you're a recovering lawyer, so that means law school and that whole process. No offense, but you look like you're about 23.
He looks like a Joseph, but not a Joey. Like this resume spread,
He looks like a Joey to me. You look quite young to have the resume that you have.
I appreciate that. My son says I'm old because he's already a better soccer player than me, and he's not.
Well, wait till you're 47.
I'm 3 years behind you.
I would have lost that bet.
Wow. Okay, so tell us the feeling within the room. Was there a concern? Was there a divide? Or were people pretty confident, like, yeah, let's just get through this. It's gonna be saved?
I walked out of the Supreme Court argument feeling that it was likely we were going to win, and I'll tell you why. But you never know. right? You never know because it's just 9 human beings that put their pants on one leg at a time, and they're going to make decisions that sometimes surprise and sometimes are very predictable. I think the key moment in the case was, well, there were 2 key moments in the case. One was when Justice Kagan really went to painstaking detail to explain what the FCC is doing here, what they've done in setting up E-Rate along with the other 3 programs isn't radical, like isn't an out there thing, right? Congress said there should be universal access. Every school, every library should have connections, right? And then the FCC sets up a program, as we talked about, with a sliding scale based upon a discount based upon the affluence of the community, and said, this is how we're going to set it up and this is how it's going to work. So there's really nothing radical at all about how they set it up. And also, which I appreciated her answer, her point was, shouldn't we want people to have connectivity? Right? She talked about schools and healthcare facilities having connectivity. And then she talked about the made up person in remote North Dakota. It actually benefits all of us for that person to be able to get online. We all benefit from that.
Yeah.
So she came back to, there's nothing radical at all about this. Congress told the FCC to make sure everyone had connectivity, and then they set up a program to help achieve that. I think the other piece that was the first key moment. The other key moment was when Justice Coney Barrett, who voted with the majority, right? Coney Barrett, Roberts, and Kavanaugh voted with the 3 liberals to uphold the program. When she pushed the Consumers Research Council on, so how would you fix it? Right? He's saying the statute's deficient. There's not enough direction in there. So she says, well, what would you do? And the lawyer says, well, there should be a cap on the program. There should be a statutorily established cap. As we all know, there is a FCC established cap, which is, we're actually well below it. It's about $5 billion right now. And E-Rate demands, like 3.3. But the question was, should there be a statutory limit? So Congress has affirmatively said how much? And he said, yes, that's what I want. And then Coney Barrett and Kavanaugh said, well, what if the cap was set at $1 trillion? $1 trillion. Would that be enough to repair or cure this infirmity in the statute? And the lawyer said, yeah, that would be enough. That would be enough. And Coney Barrett said that's a hollow argument. She used the word hollow twice. She said that's not a limit. Putting $1 trillion limit on a program that currently spends $8 billion is not a real limit.
Right.
It's not necessary. You don't need a quantitative limit. There are qualitative limits already built into the statute. So I thought we were going to win, but you never know.
In the vein of you never know, was there a plan B being developed? Were you at SHLB or other organizations starting to reach out to those relationships with senators like, okay, if this goes south, we need action quickly to try and either save it, redevelop it, whatever. What was that planning process like, or thought process like?
There was a plan B, or there were discussions of a plan B, right? And we were discussing ways in which you could, correct it in statute. But there was a real reluctance to make a bad deal, right? Or make a deal that was potentially limiting the programs without knowing what the justices said. One of the things, Josh, that's been kicked around for a while by the chairman of the Senate Commerce Committee, Ted Cruz of Texas, is subjecting the Universal Service Fund and therefore E-Rate to annual appropriations. This has been his idea and his push now for a few years. And so in these informal conversations, he said, well, that's what I want, right? If we're going to fix the program, I want it subject to annual appropriations. Well, that's not something I'll ever accept, right? Do we need any more proof? We just ended the longest government shutdown ever. How is a school going to have predictability? How are they going to plan out a budget 2, 3, 5 years out if you don't even know if the money's going to be there tomorrow? Right? So that's like a hard no. So we could talk during this session about how we could fix the ailing contribution factor, right? There clearly is a problem with the money coming in. It's a shrinking contribution base. But the solution is not subjecting to appropriations.
Yeah, because they could appropriate the money and then all of a sudden say, oh, sorry, never mind. We're pulling your $10 million back or whatever.
I just had a meeting this morning with a vendor asking about my infrastructure plans. And I was kind of talking about the next year and then 3 years and 5 years and what is in my head and what's in the tech plan for what we're going to do. And I was unpacking with him. We have a new superintendent that isn't so much used to what E-rate is. And I've had to do some, hey boss, this is what we typically do. And I like to spend down years 1, 2, 3, and then year 4 and 5, we're kind of more coasting. It's very important to have a plan and to have a budget with that plan. I mean, E-rate has made all the difference in infrastructure that leads to what devices we can have, one-to-one programs. I mean, it's this big tent thing that just has to make sense, but it only makes sense if you can literally plan for it to happen. How many grants have I gone for over the years, and I spent a lot of time planning and get my wish list going, and I don't get the grant? That's grant land. This is not that. This is something that needs to have steady pace to it.
I agree.
The other thing that's been going on over the last few months, along with the Supreme Court case, has been changes to E-rate rules, Wi-Fi on buses, hotspots, those kinds of things have gone away. At the same time, there's also the cybersecurity pilot. Can you talk a little bit about what your hopes and wishes are for the program for either those particular items or just in general?
Sure.
When are we going to see another modernization of E-rate that includes things like cybersecurity, or are we not?
The FCC was correct to recognize that learning happens beyond the walls of the school. Right? When I worked for Senator Markey in 2021, we helped pass the Emergency Connectivity Fund, which was that $7 billion down payment on paying for devices and connectivity for kids at home. Right? The homework gap, we've talked about it, that's existed a long time. E-rate solves some of the problem. It ensures that you've got connectivity at school. I think it was terrific when the FCC said, well, we got to make sure there's not a gap at home and kids could do their homework at home. We strongly oppose the FCC axing that program a few months ago. Unfortunately, it was probably inevitable. Chairman Carr voted against it when he was a minority commissioner. He became chair, and they got rid of the program. The same thing for school bus Wi-Fi. I think there is an important place for school bus Wi-Fi, particularly where students are on very long bus rides in rural areas. Also, where kids don't often enjoy robust connectivity when they get home. So that's a place to finish their homework. So, the move to get rid of school bus Wi-Fi and hotspots is a step backwards, is a major step backwards. But the good news is Congress didn't take action to eviscerate the programs. Only the FCC did, right? And we fought against both doing the action. But the fact that the FCC did it means that it can be reversed back. And so when there's a change in fortune in the administration in 29 or 33 or some other, future year, they can come back.
We've had a lot of discussions within the community about, what are your thoughts on this one? And I think things like mobile hotspots and bus Wi-Fi are kind of wading into controversial territory because some people say, well, I want to use the money to safeguard the internet protection in the first place and use that money towards cybersecurity. Others have said, hey, no, this is critical for what we need. So, I would say what's nice about the E-rate program is across the board, across the country, the process and the funding available is unilaterally applied so that a district in Boston and a district in Missouri and California are playing under the same rules. But there's also a push towards a little bit more of a personalization where some schools can say, I really, really need investments in security to protect this line. And then other more rural districts can say, no, I need that longer point-to-point connectivity. So I don't know if that is on the horizon or if that is something that your organization is pushing for, but I would say it's a conversation that a lot of people have.
Well, I think on the cybersecurity front, we've pushed hard that the FCC not take that pilot away. It was $3.7 billion worth of demand, approximately, for $200 million worth of funds. Clearly, the cybersecurity needs are great around the country. And I have a lot of members. I do a lot of touring of the country. I meet with CTOs and COOs of school districts. They talk about cybersecurity. And that's the first thing they talk about. Right? And I say, how many attacks have you gotten this week? And they say, how many attacks have I gotten today? So as we're looking towards the future, and right now there's something called there's a working group in Congress that's looking at what should the future of USF look like. And we just submitted comments. My hope is that the FCC, stops taking aspects of E-rate away, and instead Congress and the FCC together say, what is needed now? Cybersecurity is a great example. We need more cybersecurity funding for schools, for libraries, for health clinics, right? Think about the rural healthcare program as well. And so instead of let's in a bipartisan way, try to solve the problems that exist today.
Yeah, it's interesting. What are the feelings of the cybersecurity pilot where some districts have backed out? I don't remember what conference we were at, but there were some comments that those numbers are actually quite surprisingly high as far as the number of districts that have backed out from the pilot program. Can you shed any light on that, or what you're seeing with that?
You know what? I can't. I've seen it, right? And we've talked about it and some of the withdrawals. I'm not really sure. I think what's important is the FCC analyze how the pilot goes. There's going to be lessons learned. There are going to be mistakes and there are going to be successes. And so if we're going to incorporate more cybersecurity efforts, whether within E-rate or as a separate program, because remember the pilot exists outside of E-rate, well, let's learn from it. Let's make good policy based upon what has happened. That's the whole essence of having a pilot.
So everything right now is very partisan. We just got off of the longest government shutdown. Politics are what they are. It just seems like everything is very two-sided in today's world. Do you think that E-rate, as a program that benefits every single state and every single community, is something that will be one of the few bipartisan efforts and supported by our senators moving forward?
I'm confident it will. E-rate is a story of 30 years of bipartisan success. There are 115,000 K12 schools in the United States. That's public, private, charter, parochial. About 100,000 of them receive E-rate funds. That's a near ubiquitous coverage. We had a fly-in earlier in the year. The agreement was overwhelming, right? But for a couple key members, we mentioned one of them earlier in this broadcast, who want this fund to be solvent, to be predictable, and how important it is for E-rate to continue. We just had our conference a couple of weeks ago. We had a senior staffer from Senator Sullivan, Republican from Alaska, and a senior staffer from Senator Lujan's office, Democrat from New Mexico. If you close your eyes, you wouldn't know who was talking, right? I mean, they were saying essentially the same thing. Our communities depend on these E-rate dollars that we should be investing in our children. So you listen to them, and I get, you watch the news of the shutdown, and things do seem really polarizing. But on this issue, there is wide agreement that it is necessary and successful and should continue.
That is great to hear. And I think as great as it is, I think it's surprising to hear that there's that bipartisan support. But that could just be my...
You've given us hope, Joey. You've given us hope.
I tried.
Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you for your work at SHLB and your work before that as well. So I really appreciate you coming on tonight.
Happy to do it, guys. It was a lot of fun. You guys keep up the good work. You're doing the hard work out there.
All we do is hang out on a Thursday night for a few minutes.
I think he's talking about your day job, Chris.
Okay.
Which one?
Anyway, moving on. Thanks a lot, Joey.
All right. Thanks, Joey.
Thanks, guys.
We might not be the same. You share the same pain that I do.
The views and opinions expressed on the K12 Tech Talk podcast are the personal opinions of Josh, Chris, and Mark, and do not represent the views or opinions of our sponsors or other organizations that we're affiliated with. The material and information presented here is for general information and entertainment purposes only. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
We were buying words about the